There is a type of man that most people have never met. He sees the same things you see. He feels the same pull you feel, the same cravings, the same temptations, the same lust that derails ordinary men every single day. But it doesn't move him, not because he suppresses it, not because he fights it, but he reached a place where it lost its grip, not just for a week, not just for a streak, for good, because he stopped fighting it the wrong way. I know what you're thinking. That sounds like giving up. It's not. It's the opposite of giving up. And the difference is everything. While most men spend their entire lives losing the same battle, this man stopped fighting years ago. And that is exactly why he wins. The ancient Zen masters called this state Mushin, and by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how to reach it. Mushin, written in Japanese as two characters. Mu, meaning empty. Shin, meaning mind. The empty mind. Not empty like ignorance. Empty like a still lake, nothing disturbing its surface. The Zen tradition that shaped this concept over centuries, rooted in Buddhist practice, later adopted by martial artists, teaches that power comes not from resisting impulses, but from reaching a point where they lose their grip entirely. You don't defeat lust by being stronger than it. You defeat it by becoming someone it can no longer find. But before I show you how Mushin works, I want to tell you about a man who spent 11 years trying to do what you're trying to do right now, and failing every single time. Chapter 1. The Man at the Desk. His name was Marcus, 34 years old, software developer at a mid-sized company in the city, intelligent, disciplined, the kind of man who could debug 1,000 lines of code without losing focus, except when it came to his phone. He would pick it up to check the time and look up 40 minutes later, having scrolled through nothing he could even remember. Every morning he told himself, "Today will be different." Every evening he sat on the edge of his bed, 2 hours gone, eyes dry, a hollow feeling in his chest, and made the same promise again. He had tried everything: app blockers, grayscale screens, leaving his phone in another room, deleting every app and reinstalling them 3 days later. Each system worked for a week. Then the draw came back, stronger than before, as if the suppression itself had been charging it. He did not know it then, but the phone was never the problem. The silence it was filling was. And so, the cycle continued. One idle moment. Then the phone in his hand before he had even decided to pick it up. Then shame. Then the promise to restart. Then the cycle again. He had been living in this loop for 11 years. The moment that broke him happened on a Wednesday evening in February. Marcus was sitting at his desk, laptop open, a deadline in 2 hours. He picked up his phone just for a second. 45 minutes later, he put it down. He had not moved. He had produced nothing. He had simply disappeared. And sitting there in the blue light of his screen, he had a thought he had never had before. What if fighting is the wrong approach entirely? Chapter 2. Why fighting makes it worse. When you suppress a thought, any thought, your mind does something completely counterintuitive. It creates a monitoring process, a background program running constantly, checking, are you still not thinking about it? And in order to check, it has to access the very thing you are trying to avoid. The harder you push something away, the more frequently your thoughts circle back to it. Every act of suppression sends a signal. This thing has power. This thing is worth watching. You are not weakening the desire. You are teaching your mind to treat it as something important. This is why the fight never ends. Every battle you win feeds the next one. Think about that for a second. Every time you succeeded, you made the next failure more likely. The system you trusted most was working against you. The Zen masters understood this intuitively, and modern behavioral research has since confirmed it. Psychologists call it the ironic process. The harder you suppress a thought, the more frequently your mind tends to return to it. And they found a way out. Not through more discipline, not through more willpower, through something that will feel completely wrong. The first time you try it. Chapter 3. The 3 Tools. A thought has no power until you give it one. Desire, in its truest form, is simply a passing signal. It is not a command. It is not your identity. It is weather. A man trained in Mushin does not fight the wind. He observes it and lets it pass. These 3 tools are rooted in what behavioral psychologists call acceptance-based practice, the same principles used in modern therapy, stripped down to their essentials. The first tool, naming. When the urge appears, don't resist it. Don't follow it. Name it, out loud or in your mind. There's an urge to reach for my phone. I can feel it. It is not me. Naming the urge takes it out of the body and places it in the mind, where it can be observed instead of obeyed. Marcus practiced this every day for 2 weeks. Nothing dramatic happened, just a small gap, a hair's breadth between the impulse and the reach. He barely noticed it at first, but it was there. The second tool, Fudoshin, the immovable mind. Where Mushin is emptiness, Fudoshin is rootedness, a single physical anchor to return to when the current arrives. For Marcus, 3 slow breaths, feet flat on the floor, not to fight the impulse, to remind his body where it was standing. The third tool took the longest to understand. Marcus stopped describing his practice as a battle. No more. I am trying not to give in. That sentence is a declaration of war against yourself. Every morning, you wake up already in combat. Instead, one sentence, written by hand, every morning. I am a man with a calm mind. Desire moves through me. It does not move me. Not a goal, not a rule, an identity. 3 tools. Embarrassingly simple. And that is exactly why most men dismiss them and go back to fighting. And Marcus thought, I've got this. That was his first mistake. Chapter 4. The Fall. Marcus followed all 3 tools every day for 41 days, and then everything fell apart. A project collapsed at work. A friendship ended badly. 3 nights of almost no sleep. On the 4th night, he opened Instagram, just for a minute. At midnight, he put the phone face down on his desk. The room was dark. He had not eaten. 2 hours had passed, and the old shame arrived, sharp and familiar. You have not changed at all. You never will. He almost believed it. But the next morning, not after he felt better, not in a week. The next morning, he sat at his kitchen table and wrote the sentence. His hand was shaking slightly. He wrote it anyway. Then 3 breaths. The Zen tradition has always made room for this moment. The student who falls and returns walks a path the student who never fell cannot reach. The fall is not the end of the practice. It is part of it. So what happens to a man who falls and gets up anyway, over and over again, until one day the falling simply stops? Chapter 5. The Quiet. By day 60, something had changed. Not dramatically, not visibly. The impulse still came, but now there was space around it, room to see it arriving before it arrived. And in that space lived his choice. The impulses came less often, stayed shorter, and left without the residue of shame they used to carry. His mind was quieter, not because he had suppressed anything, because he had stopped treating his own mind as an enemy. But here's what no one tells you. Quiet is uncomfortable at first. Most men reach for their phone not out of desire, but to escape the silence. That stillness is where the real work begins. This is Mushin, not a moment, a way of being. And once you understand what Mushin looks like in a man who has actually reached it, you will see why most advice about this gets it completely backwards. Chapter 6. The Quiet Man. Most people try to become someone who does not want to scroll. Marcus became someone who simply did not need to. That is the difference, and it changes everything. 14 months later, Marcus no longer tracked his screen time. Not because the apps had disappeared, because the pull had. He still used his phone. He still saw the same feeds. But it no longer reached inside him and took something. He picked it up when he chose to. He put it down the same way. Something his hand held, not something that held him. His colleagues noticed something different about him. Not what he said, how he was present. In meetings, fully there, in conversations, not somewhere else. One of them asked him once, "Marcus, how do you stay so focused?" He paused, not to think of an answer, because he was not sure the answer would make sense to someone who had not lived it. Then he took a breath. "I stopped fighting it." Maybe you are exactly where Marcus was. Maybe you have tried the screen time limits, the app blockers, the phone-free mornings, and somewhere along the way, part of you decided, this is just how I am. This is just how we all are now. It is not who you are. It is a pattern your mind learned. And the mind is more adaptable than you've been told. But not by fighting harder, by learning to observe. The impulse to scroll is not your enemy. It is weather. And weather cannot defeat a man who has learned to stand inside it without moving. The next time you feel the pull toward your phone, don't fight it. Name it. Breathe. And remember, the man who stops fighting is the man who no longer needs to win.